Good morning. Welcome to online video tutorials of Sai Vidya Institute of Technology for Big Data Analytics. Today we will be discussing cluster analysis in the fourth module. Is what is cluster analysis? Cluster analysis, it is used for automatic identification of natural grouping of things. So it is a technique, cluster analysis, it is a technique which we will be using to group the things. Okay, so for automatic identification of the things and for natural grouping of the things, we'll make use of this cluster analysis technique. So it is also known as the segmentation technique, where we will be segmenting the things. Okay, so it is called as a segmentation technique. In this technique, data instances that are similar to each other, or the data instances which are near to each other, they are categorized as one cluster, and the data instances which are different from each other, or which are far away from each other, based on these things, they will be classified into another cluster, or they will be moved into the different clusters. So likewise you will be segmenting the things. So clustering is an unsupervised learning techniques. So in the discussion where about the supervised and unsupervised learning technique in the previous modules, we discussed this cluster analysis. So it falls under this unsupervised learning technique. We came to know that as there is no output or dependent variable for which right or wrong answers can be computed. So this is under the unsupervised learning technique. So clustering techniques, they can only suggest to the user how many clusters would make sense from the characteristics of the data. Since you can't have the right or wrong answers which can be computed here in the clustering analysis, which is an unsupervised learning techniques. So here you can only suggest the user how many clusters you can make, and which makes sense for the characteristics of the data. So that is about the cluster analysis. Here you can see in the figure, so the clusters of the data instances have been formed here. Next, applications of cluster analysis, where all you can use this cluster analysis technique. So it is applicable in many of the sectors. In your syllabus, we have three applications of cluster analysis. That is, first one is in the market segmentation, like categorizing the customer. That is, classifying the customers according to their similarities. For example, by their common needs, whether common wants, they can be grouped into one sector. Likewise, you can use this cluster analysis technique to segment the customers, for categorizing or classifying the customers. Next is a product portfolio. The peoples of similar sizes, they can be grouped together to a small, medium and large sizes for the clothing items. There you can make use of this cluster analysis. Next is a text mining. Your clustering can help organize a given collection of text documents according to their content similarities into one cluster. If the content differences are there, they will be grouped into the different clusters. Likewise, you can use the cluster analysis technique in the text mining also. So these are the applications of cluster analysis. Next, moving on to the clustering exercise. A simple example has been given to carry out this clustering technique. So here you can see that the two variables are there, like x and y, and you can see the data points here. There are 10 data points and two variables. Now we need to divide this data points into the cluster. Okay, so this is not given, only you have x and y variables, and the data points have been given here. So now your job is to divide this data point into the clusters. How many clusters you can form, and in what clusters you can segment these data points, that you have to look into now. Okay, that is in the graph. Now you can see randomly the data points have been clustered over here. So there is only one cluster here. Here graph you can see, that is 2 comma 4. It is plotted like this. You can see the x-axis and y-axis over that. So 2 comma 4, this data point, first data point, it has been plotted here. Likewise 2 comma 6, it is plotted here. Then 4 comma 4. Okay, so your y-axis numbering is not there, so it is like 1 2 3 4. Okay, so like 4 comma 4 is plotted here. Similarly 5 comma 2 is plotted here. Then 6 comma 3, it is plotted here. Then likewise all the data points what you have here, the 10 data points you have plotted here in the graph. And this is a centroid, the large circle what you can see here, it is a centroid, so that you are having one cluster here. Okay, now we want to divide this data point into different clusters. You have not yet grouped here. Okay, whatever the data points is there, you have put it in one slot, and you have just plotted those data points, and you are having one centroid for that cluster. Now you want to divide this data point into a different cluster. So we need to identify the seed points here. Let it be I'll identify the 3 seed points. Seed points are nothing but the centroids. Likewise you are having one centroid here. I'll identify another 2 centroids here. Okay, so 3 seed points or centroids I'll identify for this particular cluster. Okay, likewise, yeah. So this is where you are having the 3 centroids or the data points. Here we have to calculate the distance of all these data points. So what does this k-means algorithm tells for this clustering? Here in the k-means algorithm for the clustering analysis, what you are supposed to do is, first you have to identify the seed points or the centroids. Okay, then you have to calculate the distance of all these data points with respect to each seed point. In the sense, you have 3 centroids or seed points here, right? So for these 3 seed points, you have to calculate the distance for each of the data points. So you are having 10 data points here. So for let it be for this centroid, I have to calculate the distance for this data point. Here for this data points, 10 data points you are having, right? For these 10 data points, you have to calculate the distance for each of the centroid with respect to each centroid. So for that distance calculation, we will be using a Euclidean formula to calculate the distance, that we will see later. Now for example, if I take this centroid, with respect to this centroid, I have to calculate the distance for each of the data point. Likewise for 2 comma 6, what is the distance between these two? And for 4 comma 4, what is the distance for this data point with respect to this centroid? And for 6 comma 3, what is the distance for this centroid? Okay, likewise you have to calculate the distance for each of the data points, for all the 10 data points what you are having. For that you have to calculate the distance. So if it is done, then move on to the next centroid here. For this centroid, the same thing, you have to calculate the distance here. For 2 comma 6 data point, with respect to this centroid, what is the distance? Like 5 comma 2, what is the distance? Then 6 comma 3, with respect to this centroid, what is the distance? 4 comma 4, what is the distance with respect to this centroid? Then if it is done for all the data points, then move to the next centroid. Then likewise you have to calculate the distance as I did for the other 2 centroids. You have to calculate it. So once you have done with the distance calculation for each of the 3 centroids, you will be having the 3 sets of distances for each of the data points, right? So among those 3 data sets, which that is among the 3 distances set, so which one is the least distance for the data point? Like, let it be for 4 comma 7. Now for this 4 comma 7 data point, what is the least distance you have, whether the distance is least with respect to this centroid or this centroid or this centroid, that you have to identify. Then if it is least with respect to this centroid, in the sense this data point should be moved to the this cluster. Okay, likewise you have to segment the each of the data points with respect to those clusters. So this is what the k-means algorithm tells you. Okay, so here while you are going for the identification of these distances, you will be having the movement of clusters. Okay, so sorry, movement of data points for the clusters. So you have to identify the centroids until the movement of the data points is not there. Okay, so then you can stop that further iteration. So once you identify there is no data point movement, then that is the final answer. So that is the final cluster you can have. So that is what the k-means algorithm tells you. First step is choose the k number of random data points as initial centroids. Then that is the cluster centers. Then repeat till cluster centers stabilize. That is what I said. Until there is no data point movements. So until that you have to calculate you have to go for iteration of this clusters. Okay. Allocate each point in D to the nearest of the k centroids. Then compute the centroid for the cluster using all points in the cluster. So this is what I have explained you now. Next, yes, as I said, you will be having the movement of clusters, right? Movement of data points to the clusters. So like this, if you identify the distance for this with respect to this one, then you can move those data points. Okay, then you will go for the further grouping likewise. Okay, until you will be doing where you notice that there is no further movement of the data points is there. Okay. So we'll take one example. There is clustering exercise. So now we'll go for a calculation of this centroids and how to cluster these data points. So these are the data points what we had. That is what in the XY. In this slide, what are the data points we had? No, the same data points has been taken over there, and we are going for the computation. Okay, here X and Y. So you can see that randomly we have taken the 3 seed points in this graph. We have taken the 3 seed points or 3 centroids randomly we took, right? So that's what we have taken over there. So 1 comma 5. Okay, likewise the plotting what it is that we have taken here. Yes, 1 comma 5, 4 comma 1, 8 comma 4. These are the 3 centroids randomly we have taken. We don't know whether it is exactly forming the cluster or not. Randomly we have taken the seed points or the centroids. Now we go for the calculation. So we are having this 10 data points, right? So how to calculate the distances? Now for each of the data point we have to calculate the distance for the centroid, right? So these are the clusters or the centroids. Okay, sorry, these are the seed points or the centroids, 1 comma 5, 4 comma 1 and 8 comma 4. So now you have to calculate the distance for each of the centroid here. So for 2 comma 4, what is the distance for this first centroid? Then for 2 comma 4, what is the distance for the second centroid? And 2 comma 4, what is the distance for this third centroid? So here it is the iteration 1. So we know that seed point 1 is 1 comma 5, seed point 2 is 4 comma 1 and seed point 3 is 8 comma 4. Okay, so this is not yet done. Cluster numbering we have not done it. Okay, so now we have to calculate the distance. So this is the Euclidean distance formula. D is equals to square root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. Now go for this computation now. So what is x2 and x1 here? This is let it be x1 y1, x2 y2. Okay, so 1 minus 2 whole square plus 5 minus 4 whole square. So that is root of 1 minus 2 whole square plus 5 minus 4 whole square. So if you go for this computation, you will get the value 1.41. Okay, so that is the distance for 2 comma 4 with respect to first centroid. Now similarly you go for the calculation for the rest of the data points here. 2 comma 6. So 1 minus 2, sorry, square root of 1 minus 2 whole square plus 5 minus 6 whole square. So what is the value you will be getting? 1.41. So likewise you will be computing the distance for this centroid. Next, move on to the next centroid. 2 comma 4 for 4 comma 1. You have to calculate the distance for this centroid now. So 4 minus 2, then root of 4 minus 2 whole square plus 1 minus 4 whole square. You will get the value 3.61. Similarly, for 4 minus 2, root of 4 minus 2 whole square plus 1 minus 6 whole square, you will get a value 5.39. So likewise, you have to calculate for the third centroid also. You will be getting these values. Now, you have to go for cluster numbering, to which cluster this data point should be allocated now. Okay, that you have to decide. For that decision, to take up that decision, what you are supposed to do is just have a look for these distances. Which one is the least distance now? 1.41, 3.61 and 6.00 with respect to first data point I am telling. So which one is the least one? C1. Okay, that is the cluster 1 comma 5. So this data point 2 comma 4, it will be moved to the cluster 1, first cluster. Next, similarly here 8 comma 3. Okay, so which is the least one here? 7.28, 4.47, 1.00. So here the least distance is 1.00, which is the third cluster. So this 8 comma 3 data point, it will be moved to the third cluster. Okay, likewise you will be grouping the data points now. Next, you have to go for the iteration, means you have to check whether the data points are moving or not. Okay, so for that sake, you have to calculate the centroids now. Okay, this one are randomly you have taken this 1 comma 5, 4 comma 1 and 8 comma 4. Randomly you have taken these centroids. Now you have to go for the iteration to check whether the data points are moving or not. For that sake, you have to calculate the centroids. How to calculate the centroids? For that sake, take this x coordinates, okay, and look at the cluster numbers for C1. Okay, now how many C1 instances are there here? 3 instances. Now go for the x coordinates which are having C1. 2 plus 2 plus 4. Okay, 2 plus 2 plus 4, it is 8. 8 divided by how many instances are there? 3 C1s are there, right? So 8 by 3, you will get a value 2.66. And next for y, okay, for with respect to C1 only, 4 plus 6 plus 7. So 17 divided by 3, you will get a value 5.66. Likewise, for C2 and C3 also you have to calculate, so that you will be getting a value for the centroids. Okay, C1, C2, C3. These are the new centroids. Now, taking these data sets, compute the distance for the new centroids now. So likewise, what I did here, okay, by using this Euclidean distance formula, now calculate the distance now. So 2.66, square root of 2.66 whole square plus 5.6, yes, right? Yes, plus 5.66 minus 4 whole square. You will get a value 1.79. Likewise, you have to calculate for each of the data points here. Now the same thing, identify the least distance with respect to the data points. Which one is the least here? 1.79. So here it is a 2 comma 4. So this data point, it falls in the cluster 1 itself. Next, similarly for 5 comma 6. So which one is the least here? 1.41. So it is the third cluster. So it falls in the third cluster itself. So likewise, now go for 6 comma 3, okay, or 8 comma 3. 8 comma 3, so here the least one is the third cluster, so C3. Next, 6 comma 3, which is the least one here? 2, okay, that is the third cluster. So the 6 comma 3, it falls in the second, it should be in the third cluster. 4.27, 1.52. Sorry, 1.5 is the least one, so it should be in the second cluster. Okay, now just go through the comparison of this cluster numberings. Okay, if you identify any differences in this numberings, so here 2 comma 4 it is C1 and 2 comma 6 C1. Okay, so 2 comma 4 C1, 2 comma 6 C1, so no changes, there is no data point movement here. Okay, so it remains in the same cluster itself. So if you go through this cluster numberings, you will find a difference in the last one, that is 6,3 data point. Okay, so here this 6,3 in the first iteration, it was in the third cluster. This data point was in the third cluster. Now in the second iteration, this 6,3 data point, it is in the second cluster. Okay, in the sense it states that the data point 6,3, it is moving from cluster 3 to cluster 2. Okay, there is a data point movement is there. Okay, now you are identifying the data point movement. So where you can stop this iteration, when you identify that there is no further data point movement is there, at that time you can stop the iteration. Now you got to know that there is a data points are moving. So what you are supposed to do, you should go for further iteration. Okay, so you have to identify the centroids. Now once you start numbering the clusters, just compare the cluster number with the previous iteration. If there is a changes in the cluster numberings, it shows that there is a data point movement. Okay, so then you have to go with the further iteration. If you don't identify any of the changes in the cluster numbers in the sense, then the data points are not moving, you can stop it there itself. Okay, so now we identified there is a changes in the data points. Okay, so the changes in the cluster where the data points are moving. Now you have to calculate the centroid. How to calculate the centroid? So how many instances of C1 are there here? 3 instances. Go with the x coordinates. Take the coordinates with respect to C1 cluster. So 2 plus 2 plus 4. So it is 8 by 3 again. It is 2.66, and 4 plus 6 plus 7. It is 17 by 3. So 5.6 is the same centroid you have got here. Next, for the next cluster C2. Okay, if you calculate this C2 cluster computation, you will get the centroid as 5,3, and for C3 you will get 6,5.5. Okay, so this is the new centroid. Now taking this new centroid, go with the computation now. So taking the same data points. Okay, data points will not change. Now once you got the new centroid, calculate the distance by using the Euclidean distance formula. So d is equals to square root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So by using the same formula, you calculate the distance. Just as I explained, you know how to calculate the distance, substitute those values. So you'll get the distances for this. Now look at the least distance and go for numbering here. So once you go for numbering of this cluster, you can identify the changes with respect to the data point 8,3 here. So now in the third iteration, 8,3 is in the cluster 2. Okay, so in the previous iteration, in the iteration 2, this 8,3 data point was in the cluster 3. So now it is in 2. In the sense, there is a movement of data point. Okay, so this 8,3, it is moving now. Okay, so there is a movement of data point. If there is a movement of data point, so you can't have this as the final cluster because the data points are moving there. So that's what you can't group it in one cluster now. So until the movement stop, you have to go for the iteration. So now the data points are moving here, so you have to go for the further iteration also. Okay, so you know that you have to calculate the centroids here. That is how to calculate. You know that the same that is C1, how many instances are there, for that respective x coordinates and y coordinates, you have to add the x coordinates divided by number of clusters. Okay, then y coordinates, sum of y coordinates divided by number of cluster, how many times the clusters are appeared. So those numbers you have to take. So once you compute that, you will get a value for the new centroid, that is 2.66, 5.66, then 5.75 is the second, 5.75, 3 is the second centroid, then 5.33, 6.33 is the third centroid. Now go for the next iteration. So here also same thing. Okay, you have to calculate the distance, then identify the least distance, then put that data point in that cluster, then compare the cluster numberings here, whether any changes are there or not. Okay, so if you identify any of the changes, then you have to move for the further iteration. Now in the iteration 5, Okay, yeah, you have identified the changes, so you have moved to the next iteration. So here you calculate the same thing, taking the new centroids with the data points, calculate the distance, identify the least distance, then put that data point into that respective cluster. Okay, now just compare this cluster numbers. Okay, for 4 and 5. If you go through this cluster numbering, you can't see any of the changes in the cluster numberings. Okay, C1, C1, C3, C3, C2, C3, C2, C3, C2. The same thing is here. Okay, C1, C1, C3, C3, C2, C3, C2, C3, C2. So there are no changes in the sense now from the iteration 4 and iteration 5 there are no data points are moving here. There is no movement of the data points. If you go for further iteration also, yeah, apart from this iteration 5, if you take the centroid, if you calculate the centroid and if you have another iteration also, so there will be no movement of the data points can be observed. Okay, so immediately when you observe that there is no data points are moving here, then you can stop the iteration over there. Okay, no need to go for further iteration. So this is the final cluster what you have now. Okay, so no movement of data points, hence these are the final position for these data points. By looking into this data points, which cluster it is assigned, now you plot it in the graph and you can put those data points into the respective clusters. So this is how you can perform the cluster analysis.